What's going on, man? It's your boy, Jay Holley, and we are back with another episode of Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Thank you. You are far too kind. You could have been anywhere in the world, but I'm so glad that you are here with me. I am Jesse Holley, the sports talk equivalent of Braille. People feel me when I speak. Don't forget, you can catch me on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you get your podcast from, on YouTube, Unfiltered with Jesse Holley. Follow us at Fanatics View on Instagram, on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Fourth and Long. Follow Unfiltered with Jesse Holley on Instagram, on YouTube, everywhere. I keep telling y'all, put me in the group chat. I am shooting this show each and every week live from the Playmakers 88 Sports Bar in the Colony off of Highway 121. This is the great spot of the one Michael Irvin. Michael had some comments in the news this week about what he think the Cowboys should do. But hey, come down here, man. Good food, good drinks, good atmosphere, good looking people are in here. Hey, and you never know. If you come at the right time, you might catch me. You might catch Mike. You might catch both of us if you're here at the right time. But make sure you come by, swing by 121 in the Colony, right in front of Top Golf. What is it? Episode 86. Episode 86. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. And listen, I'm not for everybody, but before you go, make sure you listen to an episode or two. Give me 15 minutes of your time. If you don't like it, you find another episode to listen to. You keep listening until you fall in love with your boy, Jay Holley. All right, you guys know how I like to get down. I like to get my motivation at the beginning because a lot of you will not be here at the end, and that's okay because I'm not for everybody. Now, a lot of you hear me say this at the end of my outro. When I'm done, I sit there, I do the heart hand, I look through the heart hands, and I just kind of go, eliminate the contingencies. And that's the word, the message for today. Eliminate the contingencies. Where'd you get that from, Jess? That was a therapy special. Because a lot of times in life, we have to eliminate the contingencies. We put all these barriers and things in front of us, and they're like, well, I need so-and-so to take me. That's a contingency. That means that you're not getting to where you're supposed to get to if someone doesn't take you. You're saying, well, I can't really do that until this happened. That is a contingency. That is something that is stopping you, blocking you, derailing you, delaying you from what you're supposed to be going to do. We have to find a way where we have to eliminate the contingencies, eliminate the things that are stopping you, holding you back from getting the ultimate thing. You have to be the driving force for every area of your life. Now, I get it. I understand it. Sometimes those things are inevitable, right? I need a boss to hire me or I won't have a job. Keep looking. You have to start your own business. That's what I'm saying. Like when you talk about contingencies, like those things are sometimes, and I'm not saying that all contingencies are bad, but they're put in place sometimes as guardrails. Nah, you ain't a little kid. Put those, how you go bowling, they say you want the guardrails up, put the guardrails up. That's a contingency plan that if you go and bowl, so the ball doesn't go in the gutter. Nah, you got to get good so you don't need those rails. Put those rails down and just be a damn good bowler. Focus and line in and just being able to go straight, hit the pins, pick up that 7-10 split, be able to know how to do the angles. You have to be the driving force at whatever it is you want in your life. All right, man, let's get into this thing. Cowboys take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are currently sitting first in the AFC South this Sunday night at AT&T Stadium. Sunday night football. One thing I dread. I've always hated Sunday night games. I've hated Monday night games. Any game that I got to wait all day long for, I'm out. I'm old. I got to cover the game. Game don't start 7:30. 3-hour game don't end at 10-something. Then I got to do the post-game show. Then I got to drive home. I'm sounding like a complainer, right? No, I'm so thankful I get to cover this. But I hate night games. I've always hated them as a player. I hate them as a media member now. But the Cowboys taking on a hot Bucs team. They just rolled the Los Angeles Chargers last week, 40-17. When you look at this Bucs team, it's a team that has been going ebb and flows. They came out the gates hot, and then they lost their top two wide receivers, Godwin and then Mike Evans, and then Godwin. They both lost them back to back. And this offense took a major hit, and they lost 4 games in a row. And then they figured this thing out. And listen to this name that I'm about to say, because it is a name that may not come up heavily in this head coaching cycle. But I want to say in the future head coaching cycle, maybe the season after season 2020, into 2025, 2026, that head coaching cycle, you're going to hear the name Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen. He's the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's going to be one of these new guys that's coming into the mix. But once those 2 receivers went down, they were trying to figure out what we're going to do offensively with Baker Mayfield, and things didn't look good, and they lost some games, but they won some tough games. When they had their full complement of guys, they beat Philadelphia. They beat America's team, the Detroit Lions. They lost twice to Atlanta, but Atlanta was rolling early on. There's not many teams in the league that say that I can say that they beat both Philadelphia and Detroit. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done just that. But while they lost their 2 wide receivers, they found a running game. And Rachaad White, and Bucky Irvin. Boy, Bucky Irvin, the guy they found in the 4th round. What we could have done with the 4th round pick. We had a 4th round pick. The Cowboys had a 4th round pick. Oh, no, don't worry about it. We gave our 4th pick to the San Francisco 49ers for what's the guy's name? Does he play football for us? Oh, yeah, Trey Lance. So, yeah, we didn't have a chance to get an actual good running back in the draft. But anyway, Bucky Irvin and Rachaad White, they've gotten this thing up and going. This is, if you say, if Sonic and Knuckles, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who's out right now, if you say that those 2 guys are the best duo, the best tandem running back in the league, this is number 2. And now that Montgomery is hurt and he'll miss the rest of this season, maybe even some playoffs, this is the number 1 running back duo. Because we're not counting. No, he's a quarterback. We're not counting Lamar and Henry. No. This is the number 1 duo. This running back duo is the best running back duo in the league. Right now, they're 2nd in the NFL and in yards after contact. This duo, 2nd in the NFL at the yards after contact. You know who first is. I just told you who first was. Right now, 1,013 yards after contact. They run physical. They run aggressive. They run hard. They are 16th in the league in broken tackles. Well, they have 23 of them. This duo averages 5.2 yards a carry. Right now, Bucky Irvin is ranked the 4th running back. This is via PFF. And White is 16th. When I tell you the Cowboys are looking at something that could be a handful. And I think this is the first game that you go back to for the Cowboys defensively, and you're seeing a matchup where the Achilles heel for the Cowboys defensively has been teams that run a lot of motion, pre-snap motion. Teams that move a lot pre-snap, that do exit motion. That means when they have a tight end or a running back or receiver, at the snap of the ball, they're exiting towards the sideline, not coming into the to the formation, but out of the formation. They do it from the backfield. They do it from up near the line of scrimmage. There's always somebody in motion. They do half motion where someone's coming from the outside, coming into the formation. They do across the formation motion. That means from one side to the other, changing the strength for the defense, changing the look for the defense. The Cowboys, yes, they're dealing with a lot of injuries. So what's going to be vital is the communication. When they get the motion in and moving around and shifting and all that kind of stuff, who's going to be the guy that communicates this to everyone else on the defensive side of the football? I know that Eric Kendrick is the green dot. He's been missing a couple days of practice this week, so hopefully he's good to go Sunday night. But no Trayvon Diggs, no DeMarvion Overshown. Mozzie Smith has been on the injury report. The Cowboys just signed a guy who they drafted and let go early in the year, was on the Bengals practice squad, in Justin Rogers. Is that a telltale sign? Because Mozzie's been out of practice a couple days. Will he miss this game? Now talking about the communication. Are we passing things off where they're supposed to be passed off to? You saw the touchdown that the Cowboys gave up last week right before the half, an 80-yard touchdown to the Carolina Panthers. It was not to pick on Oruwariye, but he just got inserted into the lineup. A communication factor. He and the other DB, Jordan Lewis on that side, did not get out to that side. Blown coverage, 80-yard touchdown right before the half. Could have been catastrophic. It wasn't. Carolina's not that good of a team. You blow assignments on this team, it will be catastrophic. And they are a lot better. Talk about, where the game is won and lost. In the trenches, Tampa Bay, their offensive line, third, according to PFF, third offensive line. They have a good offensive line. They have a difference maker at left tackle, Tristan Wirth. It's going to be a matchup. Micah, you're not going up against a Rudy Poo Candy. You know what The Rock said this week. And I love when there's good on good. I love when there is a competition that has to be had between the two. That's going to be a great matchup for the Cowboys defensively to watch Micah go up against Tristan Wirth on the offensive line. But this Bucs team riding a 4-game winning streak. They're fighting to keep first place in the NFC South. Right now, Atlanta was the other team trying to make positions to push them to get that number one spot. Atlanta just made the change at quarterback as well. But this Bucs team is a hot team. And their quarterback, Baker Mayfield, while I may not always personally like Baker Mayfield is one of these quarterbacks where he's a gamer. He's a gamer. I don't know what other word to describe him, right? He's a gamer. He's not bad. He's not in the elite conversation, but he's definitely not in the, you don't put him in the conversation with some other cats that, I think Baker is sitting in between that above average, beneath that elite conversation. He's a good quarterback. He can be streaky. He got a little Jameis in him now. Where Baker can throw a 5-touchdown game, 350 yards. Baker could throw 3 interceptions as well. Right? And that's what I mean by he's a gamer. Like I said, depending on what Baker comes to town, you might get when Baker's on, he's on. But when he ain't, he ain't. And in this 4-game winning streak, they're cooking. He has 1,112 yards and 8 touchdowns. But he has 5 interceptions in this 4-game winning streak. That's what I'm saying. Baker is one of those guys where he going to give you one. He going to give you a chance because in his mind, a play is never dead. And that's a gift and a curse for a quarterback to have. While, a guy like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen and the guys, the big arm guys, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Burrows, the Herberts, the big arm, confident guys, arrogant throwing guys. Jameis Winston has a big arm. Sometimes you get a little bit arrogant with your arm. And Baker, I feel Baker doesn't fall in the category of big arm talent like those guys. He has a mindset though. Baker thinks he can roll right, throw back left like Patrick Mahomes does. Doesn't have that arm. Doesn't have the Josh Allen arm. And so that's what gets him in trouble sometimes. And so if the Cowboys are going to have a chance to win this game from a defensive perspective, because I think the offense is going to be pretty mundane, you're going to have to pressure Baker Mayfield. You're going to have to make Baker Mayfield really feel the pressure of because when you get him pressure in the pocket, he gets scrambly. He gets a little bit weirded out, and he can make bad decisions. He can run his way into a sack. He gets in that pocket back there and he starts dancing around. He's a mobile dude. He gets to dancing around and balls hanging out one hand and he's trying to shrug guys off. He's, again, mobile, athletic, strong, tough to bring down. But it's hard for those guys up front sometimes to keep track of where he is back there, and he runs himself into a sack. So the Cowboys defensively are going to have to come with it. The injury report came out. Like I said, Eric Kendricks dealing with something. Mozzie Smith dealing with something. You know that you don't have Trayvon Diggs, and they just signed Justin Rogers. So defensively, they're going to have to put this thing together. And I think the most important thing that I want to talk about when it comes to this defense is who is the real you? Like, I know what Micah is. Micah is going to be Micah no matter what. No matter what. Right? And so Micah can win one-on-one battles against greater competition. But who are you? Like, who are you as a defense? Because to me, you whooping up on the Giants and you whooping up on the Panthers and you looking up on a really, 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 really bad offensive line and defensive line of the Bengals, and they still beat you. Who are you? That's the part that we want to see. Mozzie, who are you? Luafau, who are you? Deron Bland, are you back? Like, that's who I want to see. Golston, Osa, Carl Lawson. Yo guys are playing some damn good football against teams that weren't really good. And I hate to sound like I'm knocking you because you guys, you can only play the people that are in front of you. But these next 3 games, starting with Tampa Bay, that's going to show a lot of people who you are. That's going to show a lot of people were you just lip service or were you really walking that walk. With this running game and at least Mike Evans, his eye is on 11 1,000-yard seasons. Mike Evans, Texas guy. Baker Mayfield, Texas guy. These guys want to go out there and show and prove in their home state and stomp on the Cowboys while they're down. The defense is going to have to be, if the Cowboys are going to win a game like this, they're going to have to rely heavily on the defense. And this is going to be one of those personal games where the defense has to step up. Micah was tweeting this week about some stats that came out and how the Cowboys differential, point differential, yard differential, all of that has risen from the first couple weeks of the season to now. Kudos. And Micah said, hey, we are a darn good team. Kudos. Prove it. It's prove it time. You don't prove it by beating Carolina. You don't prove it by beating the New York Giants, who are actively tanking. You prove it by beating a team that is equal to or greater than a playoff team. Here's how you prove your worth. And it's going to be interesting to see how these guys take on this Tampa Bay offense. Now, flip over to the other side of the ball. Cowboys offensively, I'm going to ask the same question. Because we've had great praise about what this offensive line and this running game has been doing. Rico Dowdle, the last couple of games, people put up the stats. The last 4 weeks of the season, no back. Only Saquon Barkley has been the better back than Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle has rushed for over 100 yards in 3 straight games. That hasn't happened since 2014 as an undrafted running back. Rush for 300 yards since Arian Foster did it in Houston back in 2014. And all these things are happening. We're giving Brock Hoffman his praise, and we're saying they're playing offensive line musical chairs, and it doesn't matter who they're putting in there. They're still able to rattle off 100-yard games. And Rico Dowdle each and every week has beat his career high from the last week. So, will the real Cowboy offensive line please stand up? Because you got to deal with some dudes now. Cooper Beebe's coming back from the concussion after missing 2 games, which means they'll probably slide Brock Hoffman back over to guard. He was playing center. Y'all got to deal with Vita Vea. I don't know who's going to be playing left tackle. I don't know if it's going to be Chuma. He was on the injury report. I don't know if it's going to be Guyton. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know if Guyton is benched or he's too hurt to play, but he ain't hurt enough to go in with the backup situation. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this kid. It probably ain't good for his head. I don't know if he hurt. I don't know if he really hurt or his vajayjay hurt. I don't know. I do not know who's playing left tackle this week. I'm going to find out when you find out. Because that's how it's been going the last couple of weeks. But the real offensive linemen, stand up. Stand up. Todd Bowles is going to run games. He's going to bring a blitz every now and again. The Levante Davis is still a good football player. You're going to have to deal with some guys up front this week. You want to prove to the world, Brock Hoffman, yeah, it's cool. Talk your trash. Talk your mess. do it to teams that actually are equal to or better than you. Y'all got to be able to go out there and really compete against a team that is looking at a playoff picture, who want to make sure that you don't get in their way of holding on to this number one seed, getting into the playoffs. It's going to be big because I don't believe with this defense and this secondary and this defensive coordinator that Cooper Rush will be able to get away with the 2 lollipop throws that he scored for touchdowns last week. 3 touchdowns for sure. The one to CeeDee Lamb, I'll give him that. CeeDee Lamb is making him quarterback proof, though. Anywhere near 88, he's going to come down with it. But the one to Tolbert and the one to Brooks in the back of the end zones, against any other good, I don't know what Xavier Woods was looking at. Those throw, my boy Will sent me something this weekend, and he said the one throw to Jalen Brooks had an 11% chance of being successful. 11. That play is intercepted 9 times out of 10. If he just turns around, he's running to the defender, to the offensive player. Ball whizzed right by his head for a touchdown. We've seen on display with Cooper Rush is, no disrespect, my boy, but the noodle arm. You got no punch behind that arm. There's no zip. Everything is fluttering. I mean, you throwing with your whole body. CeeDee Lamb has had to catch a ball high, low, behind, in between, one hand, 2 hands, with his feet, with his ear. The ball has been all over the place. And you've been lucky. You've been very fortunate that those haven't resulted into major turnovers. But as you play stiffer competition this week, next week versus Philadelphia, you're going to have to be on point. But I think, Michael from Pittsburgh, if there's any bag that you need to be in, you got to run that football. You have to run that football. You got to eat up some of that clock. You got to wear that defense down. You have to take the ball out of Cooper Rush's hands, and you have to stay ahead of the sticks. Can't find yourself. You can't allow this offense to be on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, and 3rd and 9. You can't. And you've shown the last couple of weeks that you can handle the amount of carries that you've been given in a game. You can handle 20-plus carries in a game. We're going to need another performance out of you like that. Being able to go out there and handle the front, be able to – and the thing that Rico has done really well is set up blocks. See, I think early in the year he was just so focused on – trying to hit the home run every single play that you were running into the back of guys, missing the hole, and now you had a run last week where you were running off to the right, Rico, and you could have just kept going, but that linebacker was flowing over, but you kind of suddenly went up like into the hole. He stopped for a second, paused a little bit, and then you bounced it outside, and when he went to go flow over the top to make that tackle, he ran into his own defensive player because the offensive line got a chance to get that block up, that reach block, and it got to him. You got to be that type of runner. You got to be a one cut and downhill, a jump cut, being able to see those holes develop, be slow to, fast through. That was where you have to live. And the Cowboys have to lean on that game because you got CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of others. I'm good on Mingo. I'm Jalen Tolbert. I've tried to push the agenda for you, but you don't push the agenda for yourself. Who knows what Jalen Brooks will play. Or it will be Ryan Flournoy, Mingo, I'm out. Brandon Cooks, show me something. But I know if you throw those lollipops against Winfield Sr., it's going to be trouble. And I know I haven't picked the Cowboys to win a game in a long time. They're 4.5-point underdogs, I believe, at home. I don't know. There's been a game in a while that the Cowboys hasn't been underdogs in. I think 4.5 points, Tay? 4? Okay, 4-point underdogs at home. Usually they give a decent team 3 at home. So that's a little bit of swing for the Cowboys. What's the over-under? They got over-under? 48.5 over-under. Sounds about right. Tampa Bay's averaging 27 points a game, I believe. 26, 27 points a game at home. So the Cowboys, if they can put up 20 to 48, yeah. But I just, if the Cowboys really want to sell me, really want to convince me that they are, as Micah would say, a damn good team, got to beat damn good teams. If you ain't beating damn good teams, don't hold that makes you a damn good team. In the words of the great Ric Flair, in order to beat a man, you got to beat the man. In order to be a real good team, got to beat real good teams. And so the Cowboys have a chance to do so, but I don't believe that they will so. So give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24-17. 24-17. Tampa Bay takes out the Cowboys at home at AT&T for Sunday night football. All right, man, let's jump into the world of sports. The Heisman winner has been selected. And it is Colorado Buffalo Oral World player Travis Hunter. And a lot of people thought it was going to be by a wide margin. When you start looking at the list, it was pretty close. It was pretty close between him and Ashton Jeanty. You know, shout out to Dylan to Dylan Gabriel. Shout out to Cam Ward, because y'all took a free trip. Like, to know, like, they knew. Like, Dylan knew, Cam knew. Like, we just going to New York because they pay for our flights and hotels, and we're going to get a good goodie bag. But y'all know that it wasn't a snowball's chance in the hottest of hells that you were going to win the Heisman situation, the Heisman Trophy. Thank you guys for playing a good sport. You just knew. You just knew that it wasn't going to happen. But Ashton Jeanty and Travis Hunter was a lot closer than what people thought it was going to be. When those votes came out, it was like, what, 40-something votes? It was like 40-something. It was like, I think it was like maybe 30-something votes between the two. But, and you know, have yourself a merry little Christmas. No, have your views on it. And whether you believe that Ashton Jeanty was the Heisman of the year or Travis. We've never seen anybody do what Travis Hunter is doing. We've never seen a dude play that many snaps on both sides of the ball and be dominant like he was. We just haven't. We've seen dudes do what Ashton Jeanty's done. I'm old enough to remember Melvin Gordon. I've been around to remember the talks about Barry Sanders. I've been old enough to remember, guys like Ron Dane and so on and so forth. So, like, and I'm not saying they're doing exactly what he did, but I'm saying that they've done in the realm of what Ashton Jeanty has done. And I think he was given the proper respect, but I didn't see how you could say that the Heisman was for the best player in college football and not give it to.
The total points difference was around 200.
Okay, so it was around 200 points. It's 200 points.
The first, second, and third.
Right. Yep. So how many first place, second place, and third place votes they got? It was a 214 point difference between Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty. And poor little Tinks in them. Who was that? Dylan was second. So Travis Hunter had 2,231 total points. Behind him was Ashton Jeanty at 2,017 points. And look at the poor little Tinks. Dylan Gabriel had 516 total points, and Cam Ward had 229. That his mama and them voted for him. Cam, your mama and them voted for you, buddy. But what you could have probably put Shador in there, and Shador had better numbers than Dylan Gabriel. But Dylan Gabriel was the number one. He was the quarterback for the number one team in the nation. So I get it. I understand it. I get it. I'm glad Shador wasn't in it because I didn't want Shador and Travis to have to kind of split votes. I don't want people to have to split votes between them. But there was nobody that we've ever seen do what Travis Hunter did. And I know that people have their feelings about it, their qualms about it. I thought he was the best college football player in the country. And it wasn't close. Just to be able to be that, like, he wasn't even moonlighting. Like he wasn't full-time over here, part-time over here. He wasn't full-time. That brother he didn't come off the field. Now I know a lot of y'all will sit there and say like, oh, you don't want to count snaps. You don't want to count snaps. And I don't like being that guy. Okay? I don't like being that guy. That I don't want to be the guy of I played. I don't want to be that guy. But in this moment, I want to be that guy. You have no idea the exhaustion it is to play one way as a starter and play 60 snaps, 70 snaps. In college, I was a full-time starter. At the end of those games, and I played one way. Exhausted. My boys would want to go to the club, and my family want to go to the club. I'm like, hey, brother, I just played Miami. I'm tired. I'm not going to no club with y'all. I don't know if I would have been able to even walk off the field if I had to play over 100+ snaps a game. That is insane. I get it. Like, that's a marathon. That is a marathon. And to not only play that many snaps, but to be dominant. To take on, like, oh, go play corner, but listen, we're going to hide you. You're going to have to cover the third best receiver, and we're going to be in zone, and we're going to hide you. No. He go run all these routes with Shador on offense, and then ball is punted off or kicked off, and he back on the field playing man-to-man coverage against the opposing team's best wide receiver. What? The cardio that it takes to do that, and I'm telling you, there weren't many people roaming this earth in a football realm that was more conditioned than I was in my playing days. I strived off that. Travis Hunter doing 100+ plays and being dominant while doing it. Y'all don't want no. Y'all don't quite understand the feat that was, and you'll never understand. You'll never understand because if you're my age and you're watching this, you're never going to play. You're never going to understand what it is to play 100+ snaps and be dominant on both sides of the ball at any level. At any level. Insane. Heisman Trophy winner, Travis Hunter. The NCAA, not the NCAA, but the courts and NCAA as well, there's been a new JUCO ruling that came down the other day. Changes the game. Normally, if a player went and had to spend some time in JUCO, those years that you spent in JUCO ate up your eligibility at the NCAA level. Meaning, if you had to go spend a year or 2 years at a JUCO, you don't get to come to college and have 4 years. Guys like Cam Newton and Steve Smith many guys go to JUCO. Many guys go to JUCO. My best friend, he didn't go to JUCO. He went to a military high school, but many guys go to JUCO. You know, Blinn is probably the most popular one that people go to. And up until 2 days ago, when you went to JUCO, now JUCO is in some far out places. Like JUCO, don't think about JUCO being some country club, okay? You got to have a different dog mentality to go to and survive JUCO, okay? JUCO is minimum security prison. That's the kind of dude you're dealing with in JUCO. You dealing with some hellified talented dudes who this close from being locked up. I'm telling you. You dealing with some dudes who were this close from being locked up. So go to JUCO at your own risk. What was the Netflix thing? There you go. So I knew you knew it. Tay. Last Chance U. What was that at? In California?
Well, there's two of them. There was the one in Kansas.
Kansas is another one. Okay.
And there's one in Texas, Mississippi.
That's what I'm saying. You're not in these very nice places. You're in Mississippi. No offense to my Mississippians. Kansas. No offense to my Jayhawk folks. But come on, guys. You're in these rural places, and I'm telling you, the dudes that you got to go to school with, they are so close from being jailmates. Well, up until 2 days ago, the time that you spent in JUCO was calculated when you finally got back into the NCAA. Until now. The new law that just was made that your JUCO time will not count against your NCAA eligibility. What do you mean, Jess? Well, if I was in school and I got bad grades or I was locked up or whatever it may be, and I go to JUCO for 2 years, when someone wanted to sign me, one of these NCAA schools wanted to sign me, I still have 4 years of eligibility. I'm telling you now, in the words of, who was that, Marlowe on The Wire, the price of the brick just went up. The price of the brick just went up. And you know who's going to have to pay the piper? High school seniors. Sorry. In the NIL era that we are in, if I'm a head coach, let's just use my alma mater. If I'm Bill Belichick and I'm trying to kickstart a program and I'm trying to get the best players on the field right now, because my window is closing fast. I got to win now before people start being mad at me and stop giving me this NIL money. And now I have to choose from a 3-star, maybe a 4-star player coming out of high school who's 17 years old, or I can go get the JUCO All-American who's been in JUCO for 2 years and is 22 years old or 21 years old, who's way more mature. And then now he can enter my program more mature, more physically ready to go and play the game of football. And I pay him. So those high school students who are 2 stars, 3 stars, y'all don't have time to be like, oh, I'm waiting for my top 5 nom to come out. Because this new rule means I can take a 21-year-old, 22-year-old and have them for the next 4 years. It sucks because these high schoolers have been getting railroaded. The COVID years was killing guys. You know, coaches were getting extra years. Guys were still being eligible. So coaches were like, well, he got another year, so I ain't even trying to get seniors. And then the portal happened. When I was in school, if you entered the portal, you could not transfer. You could transfer from Division I team to Division I team, but you had to sit out a year. Or you could transfer down into Division II, Division III, NAIA, or whatever, and play right away. But again, those times have changed. So now the portal is wide open, and coaches are now saying, well, if I need a quarterback, if you ain't a 5-star, if I need a receiver, an offensive lineman, especially guys that play offensive lineman and defensive lineman, because it's all about strength and maturity in those areas. I'm not giving it to the high school student anymore. I'm giving it to the guy who's been in JUCO for 2 years, for 3 years. And now he comes and he's 23 years old. He's 22 years old. And I get 4 years with him. If I give him the right amount of money, he might stay 2 of those years. High school student is screwed. There's over 2,000 kids in the portal right now. It's only 127 Division I universities. So you're talking about now having to deal with JUCO, the transfer portal, and whatever high school students are coming out. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, but college football, you, my friend, have a major problem. You have a major problem. You have opened up this Pandora box, and it has become the absolute wild, wild west. I don't know what you're going to be able to do in NCAA, but you've been dirty and cheating folks for so long, and now that it is turned, the shoe is on the other foot, it is insane. I mean, it is. I wouldn't even call it a business. This ain't even like a well-run business. It's not a well-run. There's no structure. There's no ceiling. There's no parameters. There are no contingencies. There's nothing in place that this has become insane. Which takes me to my next story. You want to talk about how it is the Wild Wild West and how the NCAA has a major problem. Because the NCAA was so dirty and so selfish and greedy for decades. For decades. Where all the money was going to the universities and to the front offices of these different schools. The NCAA, and my Wi-Fi just went kaploop. Don't worry, I'm going to get it back up. No, I'm going to get it back up. The NCAA they were running a show and they had no guidelines. It was do as I say, when I say it, how I say it. And for a long time, nobody pushed back. And then you had the Ed O'Bannon brothers, because this is what all this started at. The Ed O'Bannon brothers, because remember, you can go all the way back to Eric Dickerson, okay, with the Trans Am. That particular thing, because Eric Dickerson got the Trans Am and what they were doing to the Pony Express at SMU, and they set the death penalty on that program, which damn near sank that whole thing. So that's what I'm saying. The NCAA has been doing this for years and years and years of just dirty play after dirty play, keeping all of the profits for themselves and for their universities. Well, when the Ed O'Bannon brothers did this whole thing and things kind of found its way back to the top, the NIL thing got opened up. And that portal has been one that has been absolutely insane. And the thing that I'm talking about is the requests that these athletes are asking for. Now, the NIL, coming from high school, they're already asking for the bag in all sports. This ain't just a football thing. Football is the most because that's where all the revenue is generated from. I mean, you just had a kid, basketball player, who signed to BYU. Talking about he makes about $6-7 million for one season. Was it AJ Bouye, who went to Utah Prep, is now going to BYU? You're like, why is the number one player in the country going to BYU? BYU gave him that bag. Remember Blue Chips when Ricky Rowe said, man, just put the money in the bag, put it on the porch, and I want a tractor. Yeah. Remember Blue Chips? Blue Chips was ahead of his time. They brought Neon Badeau, that Lexus. They got Butch McRae Got his mama a house. But listen to the NIL request. And this is your neck of the woods, Tay. Portal transfer wide receiver Micah Hudson, leaving the dusty dooms of Texas Tech, headed down to the 12th man. Going from what's Texas Tech at? Where's that at? That's in Texas Tech. Lubbock. Going from the dust storm of Lubbock, Texas, headed to College Station. But he ain't just going. He got demands. This transfer wide receiver, here is his NIL demands. Micah Hudson would like $700,000 minimum. That means I ain't coming till I get the $700K at least. Wired up front. Oh, you ain't giving me a payment plan, Playboy. I need $700K up front for a 1-year deal to sign immediately. $700K up front wired to my account to sign immediately. It doesn't stop there. In a separate NIL deal, Micah Hudson wants 3 cars for family members for him to sign immediately. Micah Hudson also would like to have a personal driver with a Cadillac Escalade for Micah from spring practice through the end of the season. Micah Hudson also requests family hotel and travel arrangements paid for each game with up to 10 members to have to travel, tickets and costs paid for. And then finally, Micah said medical injury, time off, and playing after injury determined only by Micah and his family. Now, this is coming from some pretty reputable sources. This comes from, what are you about to say? Go ahead.
Well, allegedly, it's maybe Texas Tech people leaking this.
Okay, that's fine. But this is where we have gotten totally, we have lost our ways. And let me be very clear. I am for the players making money. There's no way that these universities should be making millions and billions of dollars off the backs of these athletes. But boy, some of these jokers, and it's not even the athletes, because don't tell me Micah Hudson, in football, let's be honest, football is dominated primarily by African American athletes, right? Most of these athletes, not all of them, but most of them come from a lot of impoverished places. So I get it. You need the money to go back and funnel to your families, all that kind of stuff. But you ain't never had no driver. You ain't never had no driver. You need 3 cars for your family? 3? Now I get the $700K. Cool. Get your money, young fella. Get your money. I'm with that. But 3? Come on. You need all your family to travel and have it being paid for? Like, y'all just, I think it's a lot. Like, they're not even doing that in the league. Like, I know guys who have made millions of dollars and the team will be like, well, we're not giving you a suite. You got to pay for your own suite. You got to pay for that. We give you first come, first serve, but these demands are getting out of control, and y'all are starting to ask for stuff that y'all ain't never even had before. It's crazy. The NCAA, like I said earlier, you have a serious problem on your hand. The college football playoffs are getting underway. We got some big matchups starting. What's today? Tomorrow. The games will start tomorrow. Let me pull this. Let me pull the bracket up. The games start tomorrow. Let me tell you the byes. Georgia has a bye. Boise State has a bye. Oregon has a bye. Arizona State has a bye. All of those were the winners of their conferences. And I said Georgia. Tomorrow, when you see this today, Notre Dame, Indiana. Notre Dame, that's a nice in-state kind of little rivalry right there. Most people think that that's probably going to be won by Notre Dame. Funny backstory, three degrees of separation. The head coach, Kurt Signetti is the head coach at Indiana. His brother was my offensive coordinator, Frank Signetti, at the University of North Carolina for one season. Boy, did Frank and I not get along. A lot of it my fault. My fault, Frank. Frank, could you imagine, Frank Signetti, could you imagine me at that time with the NIL money? You thought me and you had some good argument sessions, and I wasn't getting a little bit of, you know what I'm saying, a little sprinkle. They were a little sprinkle. They had gave me $500,000. Frank, I would have cold cussed you out in them offices, but yeah. I think this might be the most intriguing game of them all for a number of reasons. SMU and Penn State. I'm not saying it's going to be the best game. I'm not saying it's going to be the most high. I just think there's a ton of intrigue in this game because Penn State, who has the home game up in Happy Valley, Penn State has always been a team that has flirted around a lot with, you know, we're in the top 10 and we have some names for you. And Coach Franklin has been there for a while. And it's Penn State. They still have a historic name attached to them, but they don't quite always meet the big time expectation. They sometimes get in these games and they fold up like a cheap tent. And for Penn State, I think this is when you look at making a run, I think there's a good chance if you win these games, you could make a run. You could find yourself in at least the semifinals before things get real thick for you. Because right now, if you beat SMU, you go and you play Boise State. Feel how you feel about Boise State, but I think Penn State might beat Boise State. And then if you beat Boise State, well, the bracket goes, Georgia got a bye. Georgia will play the winner out of Notre Dame and Indiana, and then you'll see Georgia, and that'll probably be where your luck comes to an end. But that may not be the case because Georgia doesn't have a quarterback. They got the backup, but we'll see. But very interesting, intriguing game right there. And then you have SMU, who's kind of like the come out of nowhere story. No one had really expected SMU, who just went and joined the ACC, to come out the gates and be in the ACC championship game, find themselves in the top 12 of the college football playoffs in their first year in the ACC. But they're number 11, and here they are. Very intriguing game because SMU, I think they kind of had a little stage fright against Clemson a week or so ago in the ACC championship game. They shook it off, came back, fought back, tied the game up. Clemson beat them with a last-second field goal. That can be a very, very intriguing game right there. Tennessee, Ohio State. There's been whispers. Now, they're just whispers. Don't know how much they're true. But there's been whispers that if your boy Ryan Day, head coach of Ohio State, if he loses to Tennessee in the first round of the college football playoffs, he might be looking for a new address. There has always been national championship expectations put on Ohio State. And under Ryan Day, they haven't been met. They haven't been met. And so there could be a little bit of frustration brewing in Buckeye Nation. Now, I said they're just whispers. They're not solid, but Ohio State taking on Tennessee. I think Tennessee will win that game. That's on Saturday. And then Clemson at Texas in Austin. That game is on Saturday as well. I think Texas has another. They can have a good path too. They'll have to play Arizona. They'll have to play Clemson and then Arizona State. So Texas can find themselves in the semifinals if everything goes well playing Oregon. But I think early prediction. I think this all comes down to January 20th. It's going to be Texas versus Georgia, Part 3. So college football. Do we have time? No, we'll get into it next time. We'll get into the time frame of NIL, not NIL, but transfer portal, college football playoffs. You just, again, NCAA, you have a major problem. I'll end on this quick funny story. And if I had to have a Mount Rushmore of humans in the sports world that I do not like, that Mount Rushmore would probably be Josh McDaniels, Julian Edelman, Orlando Scandrick, Doug Gottlieb. That would be my Mount Rushmore in the sports realm. Bad human beings to me. What do you guys say, Tay?
Sure, I can't say that without telling the reasons for some of those, right? But go ahead.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that another day, another podcast. But Doug Gottlieb is just like, I'm all for arrogance, but you gotta have something to be arrogant about. And Doug Gottlieb, no one likes Doug Gottlieb. Like, you can't find 10 people on the face of the earth that are like, you know what, it's a good dude. And Doug Gottlieb found himself in a Twitter war with Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter was reporting something, and Doug Gottlieb got on the Twitter account and says, geez, Adam, at least just don't copy and paste what the agent tells you to say. And old Adam Schefter said, gloves off. Adam Schefter went and said, geez, Doug, last, 7-game losing streak, you're last in the conference, less time on social media, more time in the gym. If you want to see a dead body, you just saw one. But the week didn't stop there for Doug. It got worse. Because Doug is trying to do this whole, he's trying to be this so matter-of-fact kind of guy. He does his TV show. He does his radio show while still being a head coach. Like, it does a daily radio show while trying to be a head coach of a university. And what is it, Wisconsin? What is it, Green Bay, Wisconsin? And Doug puts his foot in his mouth again. And his basketball team is taking on Michigan. I should have got the name. Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech, a D3 school. And Doug is going on this soliloquy and this rant in the pregame news conference, whatever. And he's like, yeah, really don't care, about Nobody University. Oh, Nobody University. Shout out to Michigan Tech. Michigan Tech said, no problem. Real thugs get down on the floor. Doug Gottlieb took a L to the D3 Michigan Tech 72-70. And how convenient, he did not show for his radio show the next day. Doug Gottlieb, brother, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. You can't do it all. You weren't a good enough player. You damn sure aren't a good enough coach to be trying to have your hands in all these baskets and trying to be a Twitter warrior and then trying to have snarky little things to say. You ain't good enough. I agree with Adam Schefter. Less time on the socials, more time in the gym. All right, man, that's it for the day. Cowboys take on the Bucs this Sunday. We'll be back here next week. Remember, come on by to Playmakers Restaurant, Sports Bar and Restaurant off of Highway 121 in the Colony. Michael Irvin may be in here one day. He may not be in here one day. You never know. Come out and find out. Remember, eliminate the contingencies, man. Like, that's the word. Like, that is the word. Eliminate them. Get rid of them. Don't let them stop you. All right, man. That's it for me. Eliminate the contingencies. I'm out.